Oh, having some early trouble here with this live stream. Hopefully, everything goes smoothly from here. Been bumped off a couple times. You guys can hear me, let me know. I know there's always a bit of a delay, but some early technical difficulties. Looks like I'm seeing people popping up. We got some comments popping up here. That's great to see. As you'll see, me here again, Tom Frumming here. Tom, in case you're new here, I'm going to keep the comment stream flowing as well because, as always with these streams, these live streams, these are as much about all of y'all just getting together as a community, all of us hanging out while this draft is going on. So, and I would venture to guess that there's, more than a few of you who have your finger on the pulse just as much, if not much more than I do of this draft. Although in recent days, especially, I've really started to get excited about this and, have really been, it's nice when they pick high. It's not the Twins picking fifth, especially since that first round pick is such a focus. It's really easy to keep up with kind of the storylines of what's going on or who they might pick in this range. Then when they pick later and it's already a crapshoot at 5. I don't want to make it sound like we know what's going to happen. I don't think we do. Especially because so many of the mock drafts are different. And I'm going to try to multitask. This is dangerous for me. I'm listening to the draft coverage in my ears right now and trying to stream and keep an eye on the chat here. So bear with me. I'll also probably be pulling up some resources. Where'd you guys go now? There we go. Well, chat overlay I should be on. But you guys, they went away somehow. Anyway, they're kind of rolling into, there we go. They're rolling into the draft picks right now, showing how the Twins moved up from 13th to 5th. So, yeah, Twins, the first ever draft lottery. Of course, the Twins got extremely lucky. And the Twins actually pick 5th, 34th, and 49th today. So 3 brand new guys are entering the system tonight. Very exciting. Today, they're just doing the first and second rounds of the draft. And then I think they go 3 through 10 tomorrow. And then 11 through 20 the next day. B&B says Max Clark. I think that's the guy who has the combination. Rob Manfred's getting booed right now. I like it every time. He deserves it. I'm not going to forget about the lockout and how we almost lost time, and I don't think a lot of other fans are either. But anyway, Max Clark, that's a guy I would love to have the Twins land here. The 3 guys I would most like are the college guys, but I think those are the 3 guys who are less likely to make it to the Twins. Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, and Wyatt Langford would be over the moon if the Twins could get any of those 3 guys. But of course, it's not in their control. They're sitting at 5th. They've got to wait and see who becomes available. I would, among the high school guys, Max Clark and Walker Jenkins, I would prefer Clark personally. Maybe Jenkins you could make an argument for has a higher floor, I think, but Max Clark they're both great athletes right now as teenage guys. I mean, all these guys are incredible. These guys in the conversation for a top 5 pick. You are an amazing baseball player. But I do prefer Clark a little bit because it just sounds to me more like Walker Jenkins is more likely to end up in a corner. And at a top 5 pick, if you're going position player, I'm looking for catcher, shortstop, center field. I'm looking for a premium defensive position along with that too. Oh boy. I don't do we want to talk about the Twins? We do have a bit of a buffer, Pittsburgh on the clock. I don't think we want to talk about the Twins today. You guys talk about that if you want. This is a healthy distraction for us. From the Twins play of late. They get swept by Baltimore. What was it, 15-2? They just get absolutely railroaded by the O's. What an awful way to roll into the break, getting swept. Game under 500 too. It doesn't really matter much either way, but it would have been nice to have rolled into the break a game over 500. But just ugly. So we talked about the top 5 guys. That's kind of my take. I shared this in a Member Monday video, but I'll share it again here. Personally, I don't want to see the Twins deviate from that top 5. There's plenty of reasons why they might, and I think especially if Walker Jenkins is the guy that falls, if it goes, some combination of Skeens, Cruz, Langford, Clark, I think that really is going to put the Twins in a position to maybe think about doing some creative things with their bonus pool. That might be a great strategy, but I don't really love it. If you're picking in the top 5, I'm probably picking one of those top 5 stud guys. They've been considered the top 5 basically this entire draft cycle. Going against the grain, going against conventional wisdom, it makes me nervous, to be honest. Makes me nervous. But the guy I mentioned who I think would be interesting, and I haven't seen a lot of connection between him and the Twins, so I don't know how interested they would be, but Rhett Lauder from Wake Forest. I think he's the second most intriguing pitching prospect in this draft after Paul Skeens. Doesn't have near that velo that Skeens has, but he has the best changeup in the class. People rave about that changeup. It looks great to me. That's just such a good building floor, to build up upon when the guy, and he was tremendous. His numbers, Rhett Lauder's numbers were unbelievable this year for Wake Forest, and he's got that changeup. The twin, and it's not like his fastball and his slider are bad, but those are sort of the pitches that he would need to elevate himself to the upper echelon. And I think the Twins kind of have shown that they're pretty good at working with these college guys, with adding velo, with maybe tweaking their sliders. So personally, I couldn't get upset, even with me wanting them to take one of the top 5 guys, I couldn't be upset if they took Lauder. But the steam that I'm seeing, and I see that's been in the chat a bit, is Jacob Gonzalez. I've been seeing that as well. I think the first time I saw that was Keith Law from The Athletic had brought him up. But also one of the MLB pipeline guys, I think, predicted that the Twins would take him. Jeremy Nygaard of Twins Daily is kind of seeing that smoke, and he also has sources as well. So he's probably hearing some inside stuff too. He has also been hearing that as well. So that's a possibility. Jacob Gonzalez, a shortstop from Ole Miss. That I would agree. Somebody said that would be underwhelming. I would agree with that. And it's not that I've seen Jacob Gonzalez play all that much. I've seen highlights of him. It's not that I'm super familiar with him, but he doesn't seem like a top 5 pick to me. He does not seem like a top 5 pick. His swing is a bit unusual, and I worked for him. No denying that. It worked for him in his collegiate career. But the swing is a bit unusual as a left-handed hitter. And the kind of conventional wisdom says he's not going to stick at shortstop. And like I said, kind of in the top 5, I'm kind of more hoping for center fielder, shortstop, catcher if possible. Not completely locked into that, but that's sort of the preference. So I think if they do go Jacob Gonzalez, we have to assume something more exciting than what we would usually imagine is going to happen at 34 overall. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see if that happens. But there has been a ton of smoke with Jacob Gonzalez and the Twins. So that definitely is possible. So it sounds like Pittsburgh might be getting their pick in here. And this is fun, and I haven't been paying as much attention to specifically who's Pittsburgh's been projected to take, but it seems like it's totally up in the air. And this is one of the most fun things about the MLB draft is it's so difficult to predict. So difficult to predict what's going to happen. Picks coming in. So we'll find out who the Twins aren't getting, basically. And, of course, Manfred's soaking up the moment. The booze. I like it. I'm going to try to pull up a source here, so bear with me just a moment. There we go. All right, and what I've got pulled up here is a resource from Jamie Cameron of Twins Daily. He put together a sheet here that's you can access. He's got a link for it on his Twitter. He's got you can go to Twins Daily and check it out. But this is the consensus big board. So he took multiple sources of their draft rankings and combined them into this sheet. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Skeens. It's Skeens. The first guy off the board is Skeens. Ken Griffey Jr. announces the pick. That's fun. I mean, I would, if the Twins were at 1, that's honestly who I would want them to take. He's just such a special arm. And I know pitching is so much more of a maybe boom or bust because pitchers get injured so much more often and have like not just getting injured, but having like career altering injuries more often. But still, even with that said, ridiculous. Paul Skeens is ridiculous. I totally get Pittsburgh going there. Didn't think there was any chance he'd make it. Again, I don't think there's a chance Cruz or Langford make it either, but we'll see. That's a good point too, that there's been some chat about who's asking for, and that's part of the thing, and we can't know from the outside looking in. There's speculation. These guys have to be signed, and there's a certain dollar amount of value that's assigned to each pick, but that doesn't mean that that's what you automatically get. Teams can go under slot, over slot. My knowledge of the draft in that area is somewhat basic, I would say. I've been following the draft closer for the past few years, but that's a huge element. And I think it's hard to speculate on from the outside looking in because we don't know these things and who's asking for what, but that's going to greatly impact the potential of what the Twins might be able to do at 34. So, for example, they may go under slot at 5, so to draft a guy they know they can sign for less money, but then that's going to open up money for them to spend at 34. And so anybody thinking the cheap pull ad route, this is sort of locked in money. It's not just teams can spend however much they want to spend, which used to be the case, but it depends on your draft position. But I think the Twins have the 4th most bonus slot money to use, and they'll use it. They'll use it all to sign all these guys. So it'll be interesting to see what they want to do there. So, yeah, Paul Skeens off the board. Yeah, and I agree with some of you in the chat. I think, I would agree. Let's just take whoever falls out of that 5. But who knows? We've talked about the Twins potentially going against the grain from that. And one of these other teams might. It's not locked in. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting. As you see there, Skeens was the number 3rd ranked guy, according to that consensus big board. And obviously certain teams are going to value pitching more than hitting. Pittsburgh, not really sure we can say that based on their draft history of their, current front office, but they're talking about Skeens potentially being a 2-way player, which I don't know about that. Huh. So Pittsburgh, of course, they've been rebuilding for quite some time. Having a better year this year. O'Neal Cruz being out certainly hurts them, but let's see. You have to bear with me here. I'm kind of jumping around, reading some stuff. Sounds like there's some speculation that Kyle Teal may be in play at the 4th pick. So there's a situation there. I mentioned it, just because there's 5 guys and the conventional wisdom has been that for those 5 guys the whole time. You can see Kyle Teal, he's ranked 6th on this consensus big board. Again, this is from Jamie Cameron of Twins Daily. So it's not like that would be some kind of big reach. And I think they're the next half dozen or so guys, maybe more than that, are incredibly tight after that top 5. I think it's certainly a tier there. And then the next tier goes really deep. So the Nationals are on the clock. Oh, we're about to hear what they're picking. 2nd overall pick. Manfred's still getting booed. Love it. Here we go. Dylan Cruz. LSU back-to-back. No big surprise there, but that team was ridiculous. So, if anybody took Zachary up on his bet, you owe him $1,000, guys. Pay up. So there it is. No big surprises quite yet. Dylan Cruz, the number 1 guy on Jamie Cameron's big board, and as you can see here, he must be editing this as it's live. So that's pretty fun. And again, if you pull this big board up, you can see there's also links to write-ups here. So you can check those out too. It's a really, really cool resource. It's going to come in more handy as the draft goes on, for sure. But I'll for sure be on here, obviously, as we get to the 5th pick, and we'll talk about that for a while. But I'm not sure I'll make it all the way to 34. We'll see. It depends on how quickly the draft goes. And right now it's not going real fast. I love that they've turned this into so much better of a TV event. But it does go a little bit slower than it used to. That's for sure. And we mentioned the Twins game today. Should mention the Futures game was today as well. I don't love the timing of that. I love that the draft is during this time. I think it fits well on All-Star Weekend. I think it makes a ton of sense to do it after the end of the College World Series. Before, it used to be during the college season still. I didn't like that. Now it's after the college season is over. I think it fits well. It's annoying, though, that the Futures game is put on while there's big league games going on. It just kind of takes away a lot of the potential attention to that. Just an annoying thing. But David Festa threw a scoreless inning in the Futures game today. So that was good. So yeah, busy day in baseball. What's going on, Jacob? Got to be getting pretty close to Detroit's pick. Nope. Never mind. They're going into another segment. Again, this pace of the draft is a lot different than it used to be. But I'm not really complaining. Wasn't sure what to expect as far as what the pace would be like on this one. They do a really nice job. Who do I bet on the Twins taking at 5? Man, I think if anybody of the top 5 but Walker Jenkins is there, I would take them. So like Max Clark, Wyatt Langford, I don't think he's going to make it down there. Max Clark, maybe. I don't know that they would take Walker Jenkins. It just doesn't seem like, based on all the stuff that I've read. And again, I want to put that out there too. My draft knowledge is all coming from other places. These are things I've read from Keith Law, The Athletic, from the Twins Daily guys, Jeremy Nygaard or Jamie Cameron, from MLB Pipeline, So this is all based on what I've been seeing. Oh gosh, if you make me make a bet, I would bet that it's Langford and Clark, these next two picks. And I just, based on everything that's been going on, it just seems like Jacob Gonzalez is going to be the guy. And we'll have to reconcile with that when we get there. I mean, I feel bad throwing shade at the guy because I think he's a nice player, Jacob Gonzalez, but he feels more like a mid first round pick of 15 range ish guy to me than a top 5 guy. So, so they're still talking up. Oh, we got the Tigers draft room. So third pick should be coming up pretty soon here. If it's Gonzalez, I'm drinking tonight. I love Manfred just getting booed every time. This is the best part of the draft. Max Clark, okay, not like a surprise, but Max Clark, as you see on the consensus big board, was 5th, with Langford 2nd. So, yeah, I would have been happy with Max Clark. I think I'm not surprised that the Tigers kind of maybe it's not fair to say reached for him, but preferred him. We'll put it that way. Preferred him. I think he's just a guy you can really dream on. Oh yeah, and he's from Indiana. So that's a nice Midwest connection for him going to Detroit. Of course, we're going to root for him to be a bust now. Yeah, he would have been really fun. I think, yeah, he was the guy I was kind of the realistic guy I was hoping. It's really hard for me to imagine Langford not going here, That's a nice number 4 overall pick, Wyatt Langford. But again, the draft is usually pretty difficult to predict, but this top of this draft has been, the conventional wisdom has been this group of 5 guys. And Walker Jenkins, if it comes down to him, again, I still think I would pick him if it comes down to it. But he's more of a bat first. They're not sure how he's going to develop physically. He's a great athlete now, of course, as a high school guy. But he sounds a lot more likely to move into a corner spot than Max Clark, who's a tremendous athlete. But Walker Jenkins can hit. So he'd be a big bat first. Hopefully, you hope that means it's a lower floor guy. Jacob's asking if the Twins would consider taking a pitcher at 5th. Again, I hope that they would consider taking Rhett Lauder. I love Rhett Lauder. I'm not sure, most of the projections I've seen. There was one, I want to say, my memory's maybe not the best, but I think Carlos Collazo of Baseball America did have the Twins taking Rhett Lauder in a mock draft at one point, but he changed it. I think he might have changed it to Jacob Gonzalez, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me see if I can actually track that down. But Baseball America, I'm trying to make sure to call out a lot of these sources that I've been leaning on for information. They just recently did a redesign, and obviously that's always tough. That's always a little bit tough to get used to. It looks tremendous, though. I love the way it looks. Yes, it was Carlos Collazo. Let me see if I can get that to you guys here. There we go. And let me make sure we can see this. So this again, Carlos Collazo of Baseball America. Go out and support Baseball America. They're basically, like the originators of covering this stuff super hardcore. So Carlos Collazo had projected in his most recent mock draft, probably came out today, I bet, that the Twins would be taking Walker Jenkins. But he previously did have Rhett Lauder here. So there is some potential that tells me that maybe the Twins are thinking about taking a pitcher. It would be a bit of against their reputation, I would say, to do that. Though they did take Chase Petty in the first round. That was toward the end of the first round. And then, of course, they basically immediately traded him. So I wonder if they almost drafted him knowing that they were, okay, we're going to take this guy, but we don't really want anything to do with trying to develop him. So we're going to flip him. So yeah, I definitely couldn't get mad if they took Rhett Lauder. I really like him. Again, a college pitcher who is extremely successful and has a great changeup. That just seems like such a nice profile to start to work with. You just have so much already there. But sometimes, those guys almost seem to get docked sometimes because you can't. He's maybe not as projectable as some of the other guys. Man, for getting booed again, here it is. We're about to find out who's going to be left. Texas Rangers take Langford. There it is. No surprise. No surprise there, of course. Twins are on the clock. So we're flipping it back to Jamie Cameron's big board, consensus big board. So again, we're left with Walker Jenkins. Consensus, the number 4 guy. Certainly consensus, a top 5 guy. There was a very obvious, the whole draft cycle from the get-go. I think pretty much from the draft lottery, this was the top 5 guys. So, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think that's the guy to go with. I do. Now I would also say he was my 5th. He was kind of clearly my 5th of the top 5. But I do think he is pretty intriguing. I think he's a step above the other guys. The Twins love Jacob Gonzalez. So that's, everybody said that on the Twins internal board, he must be very high. And, these guys are great reporters, the people that track and follow this stuff. Sometimes there's smoke screens that go on because there is that element of you have to know how much a guy is going to sign for, and there's reasons to try to create leverage. So they're going to cut to commercial, of course. So we'll see. I think there's probably going to be a bit of a delay. So if you take a look at Jacob Gonzalez, though, his numbers are that he put up were ridiculous. And again, the Twins, I don't want to make it seem like the pick has been in yet or anything. Twins are on the clock. Let me see if he's got some stats. Yeah. He had 327 with a 435 OBP and a 564 slugging. So guy definitely with a bat. Yeah, the notes on here say he has a divisive swing, and I can see that just watching him. And I'm not like I watch a lot of baseball, but I'm not like a scout or like a hitting. I'm especially not like a hitting coach. But even to a somewhat untrained eye, his swing does look a little, let's say, unique, I guess. That's one way to put it. But he barrels up balls. And I think that's sort of a concern. And then the other thing for me, again, he's a college shortstop, but he's not expected to stay at shortstop more than likely. So, if we want to talk about a comp in the system for Jacob Gonzalez, he would be kind of like a poor man's Brooks Lee, or a rich man's Tanner Schobel, to take a couple guys from last year's draft, I guess. Somewhere, something like that. Obviously, I'm simplifying things and making it pretty general, but yeah. And I think it's it's going to be not as easy to get excited about that pick, to be honest, at 5th overall. I would even, I mentioned Rhett Lauder. I'd be intrigued by Kyle Teal, who, there's been some, I think I've seen some suggestions that the Twins maybe aren't as high on him. He's a catcher from Virginia. Again, anybody who's playing shortstop, catcher, center field is kind of more catching my eye. And, Teal being a college performer, that's always nice. Catchers are tough, though. That's a position that's, a lot of guys don't work out there. And we see Jacob Gonzalez on the consensus big board. He is 15th. Again, on that Carlos Collazo mock draft, he had him going 10th. So he's absolutely like a legitimate, top half of the first round type guy. But again, when I think of a 5th overall pick, that's just not quite the profile that I imagine, I guess, is how I would put it. You can't dream on him all that much, I feel like. But again, if it's Jacob Gonzalez, I think we can assume they have something exciting up their sleeve at pick 34. So still nobody at the podium. So anxiously awaiting. Here comes Manfred. But you got to say, as expected, these first 4 picks, but didn't work out the best. Well, the pick is in. Here we go, baby. It's Walker Jenkins. So they went with the conventional wisdom. I'm happy. With that pick. And really, the some of the talk of this Big Five was that in other years, any one of these guys might have been a number 1 type overall guy. Yeah, I'm trying to listen to some of this immediate analyst here. And I mentioned that Clark is a lot better of an athlete than Jenkins, but the talk about Walker Jenkins is he is a great athlete now, so there is a chance that he does stay in center field. But he's a bit more likely to move to a corner. But I would say he's a little bit more likely to have a bat that fits in a corner better. So it goes both ways there. I would have preferred Clark, but obviously that wasn't an option. He went 3rd. And again, I'm kind of relieved almost by this pick, to be honest. I kind of danced around it, I feel like, in talking about Jacob Gonzalez, but I would have personally been disappointed with that pick. No disrespect to Jacob Gonzalez. Again, this guy is a legitimate top half of the first round draft guy, just not a top 5 player in my mind. So yeah, I'm feeling good. How are you feeling, chat? People talking about ETA. I love it. He's in the org for 3 minutes and somebody's already going, call him up. Yeah, so this guy's 18, you guys. So you got to keep that in mind. I don't know. What would you probably say a top end of the first round? The earliest you're probably expecting under normal circumstance would be around when they're 22, probably. So that's maybe on the early side. Trying to think of a good rookie this year who was drafted out of high school. Corbin Carroll, I think he was drafted out of high school, right? Yes. So Corbin Carroll. So we're trying to give you an idea of timeline. Corbin Carroll, who's just been incredible for the Diamondbacks. I mean, that guy's probably going to be the National League Rookie of the Year. He was picked 16th overall back in 2019, and he is now 22. So if you're looking for, and he was an incredible prospect. He did debut last year. He played 32 games last season. But if you're trying to figure out maybe a timeline, that's maybe a good example. However, he was being drafted in 2019. You could say he was impacted by the pandemic year and probably lost some development time. So that's maybe a factor to consider, that he might have been up faster than that. Gunnar Henderson was drafted out of high school too. He might be the American League Rookie of the Year. He is 22. He just turned 22. So Walker Jenkins is 18. So obviously every guy is different. Gunnar Henderson also debuted last year. So you'd probably be, if everything goes extremely well, he's be debuting at maybe 21, 22 is what I would kind of guess. So the draft is not moving along very quickly, which again, that's fine with me. And I'm pretty relieved. I could have maintained some confidence that if they went with a Gonzalez, that they would have been doing something exciting at 34. But I would much rather that they just took Jenkins. Don't get cute. Take the best player available. The Twins took Walker Jenkins. Any nappers out there? Somebody asked about trading picks. They can trade their compensation round picks, which the Twins have. That I think their 34th pick is that, if I'm not mistaken. No, one of their picks. So you can trade compensation picks. The Twins did trade. They've traded one in recent history, and then who it was for is evading me, or what trade it was in. You can trade those picks. I don't know. Should they allow teams to trade for picks? Just with the way things work in baseball, I don't know. It would create another avenue of teams not competing, and just perpetually tanking. I don't know. It's tough. I don't think I'm draft knowledgeable enough to know the domino effect that might create. So yeah, the next Twins picks, thank you, are 34th and 49th overall. Just at the pace of the draft, just to be honest, I don't think we're going to make it there on the live stream. So again, if you missed it, the Twins have taken Walker Jenkins, high school guy, with the 5th overall pick. The conventional wisdom top 5 went in the top 5. And Jenkins was the 5th guy out of those guys on my personal rankings. And I think on the consensus rankings, he was 4th. He was above Clark. But I still felt pretty strongly that they should just not be cute, take the guy that falls to them, and move forward with that. So I love it. We have the call him up speculation, and then we have who's he getting traded for now speculation. What Cincinnati Reds pitcher from No Trends record? That's good. That's good stuff. Oh, geez. 3 years from now, we're still dealing with Max Kepler. I don't know. Jenkins probably got to stay in the minors until he's 25, right? In that scenario, we better sign Max to another extension just in case. Oh, man. All right. Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty slow, which is great, actually. I love that they're covering the draft like it's a big deal. It's because it is a big deal, and they're giving tons of information on these players. It gets so nuts. It gets so nuts on like day 3. It's just like voice messages every 5 minutes. A new pick is coming in. It's probably not even less, even that much. Yeah, again, no disrespect to Jacob Gonzalez in particular. I just didn't think he was the type of a top 5 guy. All right. Yeah, I think we're gonna close up shop though. We got the pick in. We're all we got a cracked a bunch of jokes. Had some fun. We'll be looking forward to Walker Jenkins. Um, I guess the last thing I would say is I think this dude's probably my new number one overall prospect in the system. I think, and I might not be quite as high on Brooks Lee as some others. But yeah, I think Walker Jenkins might be my number one prospect in the Twins system. Should say Royce Lewis has graduated from prospect status, so he's no longer in that conversation. Recently did do a updated prospect list, but of course we'll get around to doing another one to fit these draft guys in. But it was just a lot easier for me to kind of reset my list coming into the draft, not having to totally redo it and the draft. Sort of a tiered system of getting it set, and then now, okay, where do these draft guys fall in? For real, Jenkins is a Scott Boras guy. That doesn't surprise me at all. The Twins sure have gotten into bed with Boras for better or worse lately. So, hey, maybe that's how he fell to the Twins. Maybe of course, the top 4 picks were impressive players. Conventional wisdom was they were going top 5 anyway, so it's not like Jenkins fell, but there was some talk about some signability concerns with him. So we'll see. We'll see how that all works out. I expect him to not be signing at any kind of a discount. So we'll see what the Twins do the rest of the day. Certainly will be sharing some videos on these guys later. Not going to be a system recap tonight, though, just with the draft kind of commanding all extra attention, and just who wants to think about the Twins game again from earlier today. Sorry for even mentioning it to you, but thanks for hanging out. We had a really good time. I haven't live streamed in a while, so I really appreciate the time, and we'll talk again soon. Have a good one.